everybody. A couple announcements before we get started with the official business. Everybody has a couple of handouts for the soup off and the ladies' lunch coming up, so you all feel free to read those. Gwen has 2 extra Whiteplains calendars. They're normally $50, marked down tonight for $20. Give or take. But there's only 2 left. Do I hear 20, 25, 30? Just pay her if you want one. And then 2 more things. There is a directory that's updated over here that has everybody's or most people's or some people's names, numbers, email addresses. Please stop by, check it, make sure your information is the way you want it to be, or, you know, change it if it isn't the way you want it to be, add it if you need to, whatever. And then right next to the directory is a large card that was made by Miss Ann. It's for Jack Fastnock. Jack has had some health issues recently, and Diane has asked me to let everybody know that if you're interested in buying a Citabria, it will probably be for sale in the very near future. So I don't have any other information about price or any details of the plane. You'll have to discuss that directly with them.
Quick question, Patrick. Does anybody know if this camper, his RV, is going to winterize? Especially
no idea.
degrees.
Yeah, I don't know. Hi, Tony. So a couple other things. So we've lost a few people of our neighborhood this year. Larry Ross, we'll have to get the plaque updated. I'm not sure. I think Jack actually took care of that previously, so we'll have to have somebody else take care of updating the plaque in the gazebo. Of course, we lost Peg Peterson, Ken's wife, and then also Homer Kiesler, who's kind of an honorary member of the neighborhood. And then Jack, of course, with the medical issues. Hopefully he'll be around for a long time yet, but you know, please sign the card so we can get that sent off to him.
You doing all right?
A couple more just points of reminders, I guess. Most people do a good job of this, but make sure your yards get mowed on a fairly regular basis. Make sure if you have a dog, it gets picked up after. If you're storing stuff, make sure it doesn't look like a junkyard, and you know, just generally keep up the neighborhood so that everybody has a nice neighborhood to live in. And of course, the people who are most in need of these reminders typically aren't here. So, and then 2 last things: the HOA fees. They did go up 5% this year, but they should be paid. Everybody should be paid up by now. Again, the people who typically are late are not here again. So, but Corey is here. If you have a check and you haven't paid yours yet, please feel free to stop by and pay your fees tonight. And then we are going to have some discussion during the meeting, and I want to remind everybody that we don't need any politics, any personal attacks, any kind of that behavior.
Boring.
Please keep it boring and related to the topic directly at hand. All right, with that being said, I would like to call the meeting to order. And first we have 2 items of business. We need to approve the agenda and approve the previous minutes. So if everybody is okay with the agenda as it's written out.
I'm good.
No changes, so I need a motion to approve.
Approved.
And a
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, and the agenda, I'm sorry, the meeting minutes from our last meeting, as long as there's no changes or issues with those, I need a motion to approve those.
Approved.
And a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right. So let's start with introductions for the board, since there are some new faces in the crowd. I'll start with myself. If you don't know me yet, my name's Patrick Hoffman. I'm the current president of the board, and hopefully somebody else can take over soon, but I'm the current president. So we have Mike Balee over on our left here. He's the current VP, and his term is up and he is stepping down.
I'm stepping down.
And you've been serving for
6 years.
6 years now.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Quitter.
Now I'm running on the Democratic Party.
Next we have Corey Althouse, who is our current treasurer. He's up for re-election this year, so we'll see what happens with the results later on. And then we also have our secretary, Casey Bickle, who is also up for re-election this year. And so we'll see if both of them get re-elected or if they get ousted, but I don't know the results yet either, so I don't count the votes. And then last but not least, Mr. Ray Ackerman, who is not here tonight. He's been the longest serving on the board, but yeah, this is his seat right here. New owners tonight. We have one or two here. So let's start with Bob and Michelle Clark. They're at 213 Cirrus Lane. Bob is here. You've been here a year? 2 years now. No.
You need to come out more, Bob.
I had you listed as new. I don't know. I must have had my notes wrong.
I don't know, I've been working in Bay for 3 years.
Well, that's why you haven't come out enough. All right. So Chris and I don't see Chris and Rebecca Ashby.
You're not here.
Chris is. No, I don't see him here. They bought a hangar at 419. And then David and Linda St. John are building the house right over here. Keith Steen and Andrea.
Right here on the right.
I don't see them here. They bought 313 Whiteplains Place, across from the Crims. Matt Van, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, V-A-N-N. So he bought the empty lot by the Phase 1 entrance and the empty hangar lot by the Beacon. And then Rob and Beverly Kolinsky, who are owners of the empty lot right next door here and are in...
California.
Nope, they're not online. They're in California and they're planning on building when he retires in the next several years. So I think I got all the new owners. All right. And of course, you guys have been around here for a while, but you're finally finishing up your projects. All right, so with those done, let's move on to the budget and Corey.
Okay, well, as Patrick said, we had voted to increase this year 5%. And there's some reasons behind that. Some of our expenses have gone up as far as insurance. Of course, the electricity went up. Landscaping hasn't really gone up, but we expect that this year. So kind of being a little bit proactive to some of this before it happens. We still do have surpluses, but I'd like to keep everything on an even keel. We had a surplus again this year, but there's some projects that I'm sure Patrick's going to talk about that it'll eat this up, and that's why we have it, so it's a good thing. As far as fund balances, Fund A went up. We actually made more than what I have on here because when I do these, I still don't have my November and December. So on our Fund A and Fund B, we've actually made $6,000 on interest. So I know in the past years you've heard me say, we're only making like 0.25%. Well, this is hopefully making up for all those years. But anyway, we're up quite a bit, which is good, but I'm also getting word from them that it's going down again. So
What's it making now?
we're making about 5.32%. So we're getting, that's a CD. That's the only thing I can do because of HOA. That's all they allow me to do per law. But I mean, if y'all want me to put it in Microsoft, okay.
Boeing?
Boeing, yeah, Boeing. So anyway, that's where the our surplus, we're still doing good. I'll tell you, since we moved here, and it's almost 8 years ago, when we moved in here, we thought, you know what, we went to the meeting and they had 112,000 surplus. And we thought, wow, that's great. Well, now we're looking at about a $250,000. We're about a 225,000 surplus now. And so we want to keep that going up because, you know, there's big things coming up like the drainage and the fence, and, you know, we probably are going to have to tackle that runway again with crack sealing, and, you know, this is why we've been able to keep things so long, is because we take care of them. And so anyway, that's where that is. So the budget, we actually budgeted last year 35,000. Our actual budget came in at 29, so it kind of came in a little bit less. But there's a lot of things that we, you know, weren't able to move forward on yet, and I guarantee you that'll happen this year. And next year, that 38,000 will probably be a little bit more. And like I bid on the bottom of this this budget, I put on here the drain repair. We want to do the north side runway and get that done. And then the entrance gates, I don't know, we want to talk about that down in projects, right?
Down in projects.
Okay, so anyway, these are things that we're anticipating. So that's why the budget was put up a little bit more from last year, and I'm pretty sure we'll hit it. We'll probably go over it a little bit. Okay? Any questions on the budget?
I have a question. On the entrance gates, there's going to be talk about actuating the two.
So, hold on.
Hold on.
Okay.
Do you have any questions specifically about the budget?
We want to approve the
We'll
budget.
talk about the projects after that.
No, that's it. Do our landscaping people treat the fire ant population at all?
Do they do what? I'm sorry.
Do the landscapers treat the fire ants problem?
They'll do anything we want them to do if we want to do that. I mean, it's not part of the contract with them, so anything we ask them to do, it'll be up and above that.
Okay.
Where exactly are you
I
talking?
mean, like around the gazebo, it's really bad.
Okay.
there. I mean, huge.
I can tell him, I'll ask him.
Maybe they could do that area. especially.
Yeah, no, he'll do anything you want him to do. I just, like I say, he'll charge us a little bit more. But, yep, I can find out, Glenn, on that. Good point, because, yeah, we can do that.
Is everybody happy with him?
Our landscaper?
Yeah. Because he comes by every summer a couple times and asks me, are you happy with what's going on?
Yeah, he's here twice a month, is what he does. And I think he's been pretty good about doing things and getting them done. And, you know, part of his contract was doing the mulch in there, where the last guy, we had to pay extra for all that. So that was kind of nice too. But, yeah.
So any questions about the budget? All right, so I need a motion to approve the budget as it was presented. And I need a second. Anybody? Second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it passed unanimously. So moving on to projects. So fencing, if you may have noticed, we started replacing pickets and a few posts on the east end. We had approved $4,000 for the existing, or the current set of repairs. And I talked to the guy today, his name's Ashley Smith. He actually worked on the original fence out there. So he knows a little bit about the neighborhood, but he's been doing the repairs, and he did some recent fencing for Michael Banton. So his company's been working on it. There's a lot of work to be done. He's estimating that we should get another 2 pallets worth of pickets to replace. There's about 275, I think he said, per pallet, or $10 a picket installed. So that's his estimate. That'd be above and beyond what what we were talking about spending. So basically another $5,000 to $6,000 by the time we do cross beams and insulation and stuff. So what I would like to do, and it's not on the budget specifically as a line item, but I want to propose spending another $6,000 on repairing the fence. Unless anybody has any suggestions about other things that we should do with the fence, like spending $300,000 and replace it with vinyl. I'm guessing that's a no. Yes, sir.
I got Kevin Hogan at 337, they're the ones that don't know me, on the maintenance road. Are they gonna come down and replace the whole fence where me, Larry, and Festus put up the wooden fence? Because when we put that up, the only thing that we were allowed to put up years ago, it had to match the fence. Since we put it up, we've been doing our own repairs on it. So my question is, are they gonna come down and take it over and do those repairs as well?
And that's the problem we run into all the time, because this fence is actually on private property. But it's, would you prefer that we manage it because it's part of the whole community? In the past, we've only been doing repairs on the east end, basically, the original fencing.
I would say because it's part of the whole community, and when it was put up per the standards of the community. And once we put that up, people along the far end past Larry, and again, nothing wrong with it. They got the nice white fence, they've got the metal fence, there's different things. If they're gonna do the whole fence, they need to do the whole thing. Or if, as a community, we repaired the fence this one time, it should fall on the homeowners, and if they want the fence, they keep it. If not, they put up what they want. That way we don't have the repairs down the road.
I don't think that's gonna work. And the reason why is you're gonna have a hodgepodge of stuff. Some people are gonna do squat, other people are gonna make it look like the Taj Mahal. So you're gonna have a situation visually that's gonna be a zoo.
But it's already that way where Larry's at. It's already got and again, it all looks good. It's hodgepodge, it all looks good. So you
But it
can't
doesn't
have it
match,
one way
yeah.
at one end of the subdivision, one way at the other subdivision. And I don't have a problem with if you want it wooden, they should absorb because we did it to the way the subdivision wanted it, me, Larry, and Festus, they should absorb the cost of maintaining that as well. It's not fair to the far end. It's not fair to us at one end, down at the other.
Yeah.
If we replace it.
So Kevin, let me understand, you were told to put the fence up like that back when you did it?
All three of us, because we all did it together.
Well, then I mean, as far as I look at it, from what you're saying, then we should maintain it, like we're doing the rest of it.
Tony?
I'm in here for the ARB. So the last fence to go up, I forget the name of the couple, but we made them offset that metal aluminum fence 6 inches back. So if the community wanted to continue the stockade fence,
Yeah,
they had to offset it. So
Right.
we can do it, but it wasn't right to do so.
Right.
So all those fences can be blocked with the stockade fence you have to complete that section of the neighborhood.
well, I mean, to Kevin's question, I didn't know that you were told to do that, but if you were, then I don't see why we shouldn't maintain it.
Yeah, if we're gonna maintain one end, we should definitely maintain the whole thing.
I think, is there maintenance needed, Kevin? Is that what?
On
sorry?
mine, no. On Festus's, no. But there's some where Larry's is, it needs some maintaining.
Okay,
And I hodgepodged the best I could last year.
Yeah.
Mine's maintained, his needs some work.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do one end, we need to do the other.
yeah, I kind of agree.
They need to match up.
I'll put it on my notes and or Casey's probably got it. So.
Ideally, it would be nice to have the fence be the same and continuous all along. Is it worth considering investing in those sections of the fence that are different in doing that? I don't know what the budget for that would be, or...
Well, we'd have to get some quotes for that, and then we'd obviously have to get landowner approval as well, because it's all on private property.
So even the fence we're repairing right now is on private property?
It is, there's no common area out on the line there.
We're talking about getting it all painted.
Right,
Well,
that would be
after these
nice.
repairs,
Power wash
they've
and
invested
paint it.
their own money and putting the fence up to our standards. I think it's
If
only
we
fair
don't
to make
paint it,
sense.
I think we're losing just wasting our money.
Right.
We need to stain it, do
Yeah,
something to it.
stain.
You put
Right.
it up and a year and a half, 2 years later, it's,
Looks like crap.
it looks like crap. So you're gonna have to stain it or paint it, or it's not gonna last.
Yes, Don?
Patrick, where did this come up for the fences on private property? Because
Looking at the plats?
My house is on the other side of the state. It is not on my property.
You're correct, down at that end, but down at this end, there's a lot of the fence that's on private property.
It's on my property where I'm at,
On
so,
this end, it isn't.
So
well,
then it'd be on
some
county
of it
property
is.
on your end. Because there is no common area where that fence is. But,
Where my property stake is, the fence is on the other side.
okay.
Did people buy their houses with a fence behind it? Yes or no?
I'm sorry?
Did people buy their houses with a fence behind it?
Generally.
Then what I would say is a community situation versus an.
Well, that's why we're repairing it, because even though it is on their own property, we're repairing it.
All you're doing is looking at the setup of the neighborhood, trying to make it work, and trying to make sure nothing falls apart. 'Cause
Right.
if somebody gets sick or moves out for a while, and the house is unoccupied, and things start falling apart for a period of time, you don't want to go through that either.
Right, right.
All right, so,
Anybody mind if we, I mean, Mike was talking about staying with the fence. Does anybody mind if we stay with the fence?
Well, we want to keep it all one,
I think we'll have to find a specific color that we want.
Because there's already white
And-
vinyl fencing.
yeah.
Well, we'll have to find a color that everybody agrees with, or at least we get a majority agree with. And then, it's a bear number 759 or whatever it happens to be. And then
That's on the
everybody,
outside.
It's on the outside.
Okay. Inside, we can stay.
Yeah, if you want to, you can look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not looking at it from the outside, we're looking at it from the inside.
but I would suggest that it all be the same because a lot of people spray it and there's going to be overspray, so
All right.
then it's going to come around and could be a problem. But so let me propose this. The fence company has been working there the last couple days and they want to finish the work that they're on right now. So it'll take about $6,000. I want to spend that just to finish up the existing repairs. So unless there's any objections, can I get a motion to spend that money? And a second. Thank you. All in favor? All right. Any opposed? Okay, and then the second part of it is we'll get quotes to finish off the fence. So there's a section right by Phase 1 entrance. And then, well, both sides of Phase 1 entrance, and then continuing on to the west to the fence that you were talking about, that, well, it'd be Festus and Festus's fence that we would have to tie into, so we'll get quotes for that. All right.
Patrick, can I make a comment on the fence, please?
Of course.
I'm certainly not against doing what we're talking about doing here. But if that fence was sprayed with Clorox once a year, it would last multiple times longer. Is it worth his expense? Yes. But spraying it with Clorox would make it last a lot longer.
Question is, the Clorox is an EPA-approved situation. If the county gets involved and finds out you're spraying Clorox in the place, you may have a problem with
Yeah, I don't know if you can do that.
it. You know, that's all. Yeah, try to check it out.
Might as well do stain lights all over the floor.
So we'll look into that as well as the staining, different colors and stuff, and painting or staining, whichever we end up doing.
Well,
He's right, if you get the bacteria out of it, it'll last.
I've never heard anything about the county because people spray their houses with it all the time.
Well, and there's a number of products for anti-mildew and that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, right. And if you're going to stain anything except new wood, it needs to be soaked with Clorox first too.
it needs to be power washed.
Exactly.
But if we stain it,
The most important part is the Clorox and then the power wash.
right, if we stain it though, Daryl, we won't have to do that Clorox. That'll take care of all that. You won't have to, Clorox will take your stain. You don't want to do that.
So we want to have it clean first, though.
You got to have it cleaned first, right?
So
Even after the stain, the Clorox is really good in this.
So I'll put together a survey. If anybody has any suggestions for colors, paint versus stain, feel free to send it to me, and I'll put together like the top 5 and send that out and have everybody vote on which one they prefer. And hopefully we'll get a majority, and it won't be like, 20 different directions. We'll see.
Maybe we do
All right.
some test panels, just see how it works.
Yeah. Okay, anything else for fencing? All right, moving along then. Service entrance. So we had talked about this last year, repaving the parts that were breaking up. The reason we delayed that is because there's been a lot of trucks going in and out for various construction. Thank you, sir. But there will be a few more trucks, so we're trying to avoid the majority of that, let them beat it up as much as possible, and then, well, not as much as possible, but finish beating it up and then we'll replace it so it looks nice for a long time. So that's why that hasn't been done yet. Drainage was the other major project that we had talked about last year. And also, David gave us a new proposal, and basically what it was, instead of putting in pipes and catch basins, he proposed that we just change the grading so that it slopes away from the runway. Just a point for nations and for crawls, that will alter your landscape considerably, because right now the land from your property slopes down towards the runway, so we would move that back.
Wait a minute. The whole purpose of the drainage, which we've now been talking about for 4 years, as I can remember, okay, is right now it acts as a catch basin and is constantly wet.
Yep.
Constantly. Now, you try and change the grading so it slopes even more towards the property, we're going to have a swimming pool back there, and all that's going to be is a breeding ground for mosquitoes and whatever else. I stand by what we've discussed previously, the need for grading it so it flows downhill towards the main drain and having the piping put in to carry it off. No, I don't agree with your trying to change the grade to slope away from the runway, because that's what it's doing now.
I've tried to pull into his taxiway a couple of years ago, and he's helping him with something. And he's right. That area, right on either side of this little taxiway going up into his hangar there, is, I mean, you can do the backstroke in there, no matter what time of the year it is.
If we let it go any worse, the federal government's going to declare it a wetlands and take it away from us.
What you need to probably do is, you probably need to put in, I would describe it as almost a long culvert, where in that area, it's concrete like this. It takes the water, puts it down toward the lowest part of the runway, which is obviously on the east end of it, and then dumps it out there someplace. Because if you start doing the grading, I used to work in an engineering situation. If you do that, it will degrade itself over a period of time. You'll be doing it again. You agree with that?
Well, that's what was originally, 4 years ago when this started, that's what originally was going to be done. The last thing that we talked about last year, Darrell wanted an engineering analysis done. Has one been done?
Yes, Mr. St. John is a civil engineer.
Okay, so, and is that recommendation that we just change the sloping inward instead of down toward the runway? I mean, the whole properties are graded down. I think that would be an absolute disaster.
So the idea was the low spot right now is right next to the runway. So that would get moved back away from the runway to move that, so the water would flow away from the runway instead of sitting right next to it.
No, but we need it to flow
And based on
all the way down.
He took elevations pretty much all the way down the runway, and there is enough slope there where it would drain. It needs to be regraded, but it would drain down towards the east end into the catch basins.
Well, a drain tile will still be put in, right? Or are you talking no drain tile?
This would be no drain tile.
You gotta put drain tile.
Yeah, I agree, you gotta put tile.
I think so
You
too.
can't get away with just doing grading.
You know, and another thing too, if we're trying to figure out, you know, on yours, Corey, there's a lot of wet coming from the top of the hill, so we don't know what that is too. So I don't know if you've been talked to about that at all, or
Wet coming from,
up on your hill, there's a lot of wet coming down from the top of the hill. So
oh, I don't doubt it.
So I don't know if is there septic there, because everybody along there's had new septics put in, septic,
I have no idea where the septic is.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure it's not on that side of the house.
okay. But it's, your hill is extremely wet, and,
Well, yeah, the whole place, and then
I
it
agree.
sits in that little gully just on the other side of the runway.
yeah,
And I mean, like I said, it's just a breeding ground, and it's constantly, it's a marsh.
yeah.
The water has to go all the way down.
Well, I think a tile is needed, I kind of agree with that. But you know, as long as we know that's not septic coming down your field, because, you know, no
Oh,
one.
no, it's not septic.
Okay.
No, not at all.
But how do we really know that? Has it been tested?
Oh, I don't,
Called DEAC.
The old story is the nose knows.
knows.
That's really.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where your septic field is.
I don't know where it is either. I tried to get,
Is it worth looking at though? I mean, can DHEC come take a look and make sure that it's not your septic, or?
oh, I don't care. I don't care if they, because I know, I'm like 99.9% sure it's not our septic. It's on the other side of the house.
Okay. That'd be good
That's
then.
where our access, PVC access is if they had to clean out.
Oh, for the
So
tank.
Right.
Okay.
So that's why the septic is on the other side of the house. That's not septic, it's just that water generally, especially if it rains a lot,
Yeah,
just doesn't seep into.
yeah, we noticed that hill is extremely
Yeah,
wet.
it's a big hill, no question.
Okay.
Is that engineering study available to us?
Yes, I have it, I can send that out. I don't have it like right
The
now.
whole
This kind of
idea
thing,
was,
there's a lot for some of us, there's a lot at stake. So I think it should be looked into very carefully with that low area there.
How many engineers we got here?
The
Go ahead,
10
David.
How many engineers?
A lot.
There's a lot at stake for the whole damn runway, we need to take care of it. So, to see, he's already jumping on the bandwagon, and always spending that fucking money.
Hold on.
Because he's draining all his open shit over out the runway. It's out there and wide open, it's not even hidden.
I'm not sure, because I'm new here, so I don't know. All right, but what I'll tell you is that when I looked at it, part of the problem we've got is the water is not draining.
Is that the engineer that's doing it? Yeah. Is that what he's doing?
This is the problem.
Hey, guys.
I was talking, and I've been in the grading and excavating business for 40 years. So when I looked at it from my standpoint, what I do? The grades that I drew up, I just sketched up something pretty simple. This shows fixing, we got a problem with the shoulder coming off the runway, number one, in several spots where it's too high. So we need to get that down so we can get the water off the runway and where it's stopping on the grass. And then I've got you a ditch cut in, which will also help pull that water out of the ground because we'll have a lower point for that water to go. It's somewhat sandy around here, we all know, so that water should come on out. And then we were gonna put 2 pipes in on the 2 lower end driveways down here to get the water underneath those drives because the drives or the taxiways or whatever you want to call them are somewhat blocking the water from getting down to this lower box. And what I've seen in the past, you start putting in small drains and things like that. And then over time, you're mowing, the grass gets in there, the stuff gets clogged up. Next thing you know, they become ineffective. But if we mow and maintain the ditch, which we will because it's next to a runway, I believe that the water will drain properly into that drain. We've actually got to lower that drain on this side
Creates
from
a
the
hassle.
farthest point I checked.
They wouldn't let me, they wouldn't let me put a rip pack bag in there, and when buried, they just create a hazard, somebody run off the runway.
Are you talking about tile or concrete in the bottom of the ditch or what have you?
No, just grass.
Right down the grass.
I don't know.
Supposedly running downhill. I've got a lot more stuck in it before.
Yeah, it's because the water's sitting there and you cannot get it. The water is building up between where your drain is and this upper end.
How close to the runway would the ditch be?
It's gonna be, I can't remember what I had, but it's.
It was quite a few feet away.
Where the other pipes are.
I'm just asking because, you know, if somebody has a problem landing, or guests or
They just do,
whoever,
get late fees.
we don't know if the runway by some chance.
You got that problem
They
now.
probably come around. Some, they'll come about something.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about a very shallow. I think, in my opinion, it's worth the effort to try to do this rather than dropping a bunch of money into something that may not work.
Do we have elevations on both sides of the runway, running from one side to the other, not on the
I've
runway?
shot the whole runway.
They shot the whole runway, on the runway or off sides?
Both in the center, both edges of the runway, and particularly that side, and on up into where the right-of-way line is for, I guess, the owner's property.
And how much smaller are you?
It's about 1.5%
Original home
from the
on
farthest
the
point,
30 foot off the runway.
which is minimum.
For grass, if you can get it fall, you don't have enough fall, you can't handle the fall.
Correct, and that's why we have to lower this DI on this end in order to get the fall. Now, in the future, if you wanted to come in and put concrete in, I can guarantee you a 0.5% of the work is concrete. Grass, usually you get about 1%.
Yes, Mike?
Lower East Lot has been historically had that water problem. We moved here in '09, shortly thereafter, Jeff Carlisle had some work done back there. They actually dug down and put a curtain wall French drain off the runway, trying to catch that water and hoping it would disperse. So that water runs down that hill and it has no place to go. So even if you're talking about trenching back, I think it's just going to fill full of water, because that's also, Jeff had to put in that perimeter French drain or system around his hangar because the hydraulic pressure was migrating up to the floor.
There's a lot of water that flows from, you know, the hill, and I honestly believe there's an aquifer that runs underneath the hangar.
I agree with you on that.
Because,
You do have that sump pump.
yeah, there's two sump pumps in there. And one of them, you know, during the wet season, runs every 5 minutes. That thing, you've been in the hangar, we've been working on the airplane. That thing will turn on every 5 minutes to empty out. That's right. Cargill had to put the French drains around to try and dissipate the water into the sump, and the sump pumps it out, guess where?
Right next to the runway.
Right onto the property. So what happens after it pumps it out there? Goes right down into the gully off the side of the runway. It's got nowhere else to go because there's no grade from about our house down to the east end of the runway where it can go into the big culverts.
There's no tile down there to start with.
There's nothing.
There's nothing. It's
There's
ridiculous, because in my yard, I have a lake every time it rains.
That's right.
And the reason is because they got perforated tubing, black tubing, that big, that far under the ground.
Okay, I don't know if there's
And that
anybody,
fills
Doesn't do anything.
or Darrell's that doesn't do anything.
Doesn't do a darn thing.
Because if it sits in the tubing and it's not heading east,
It can't hit east because from my place, it goes uphill to get over to the main drain. It goes underneath the runway. It
You've
goes
got to
over-
have a grade that goes all the way down to
Yeah,
the east.
and so that was what he
That's what
shot
I'm
for the
talking about.
grades to make it a continuous, because right now it does this.
Yeah, continuous grade
Yeah.
from about our property, through Darrell's, through a couple of, through Belize.
Because it's gotta go over to my neighbors where they got the main drain that goes underneath the runway there.
Well, wherever we can put in a main drain, wherever we can get it into a main drain is fine. Take it all the way down to the end of the runway as far as I'm.
Oh, there's a main drain that big next to me on my neighbors, but you know, it runs uphill and it just ends up a lake on his property and my
Yeah,
property.
that's no good.
So you need to have a drain tubing in there.
We got stuff to look at, that's what we need to
All
know.
right, so if
So
we're
I think we're all agreed on
gonna
that.
motion to approve, now's the time to do it, so we can grass growing this spring.
Well, so, hang on a second. Yep, go ahead,
Can I
Mike.
suggest we get a little subcommittee together to talk through this and make recommendations?
Sure, would you like to lead that?
No.
It sounded like you were volunteering, I'm sorry, Mike, but,
No, we've been having, this discussion now for at least 4 years that I've been here. I'm here 7 now. And every year, at this
Well, we
meeting,
did part of it up on the west
perennially
end.
comes up, but we always find a way not to do it. We were going to do it one year, but we ran out of budget. So it was all settled on what we were going to do. Let's just do it. Let's review all that. Let's do it. Get the water out of here. That's going to save your runway.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay. Dennis?
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about this for the next hour and a half.
That's right.
So we've already approved the money. We authorized an engineer's recommendation. We've completed that. All that's left at this point is action.
Approve
So we're
the
not gonna
grade
solve it in this meeting, sitting here talking about it over and over for the next hour and a half.
Yeah.
No, but not
When
the
you
grade change.
Let- Dennis finish, please.
To proceed with the drainage? The drainage, the recommendations that has been recommended?
No, let us look at it first. Some of the people who are intricately involved should have a chance to look at it. I don't doubt this gentleman's ability at all. I do know that a 1 or 1.5% rate on a grass lot, whenever you're mowing it all the time, that changes and you're gonna have some problems. And in this case,
So, way to go.
It's everybody's problem. It's the reason why this started. Yeah, I know you have personal interest, but it's the runway is the reason why it started. Runway is grading. So we need to move forward.
Do it or else.
Move forward.
Let's move on, guys.
so what do you want to do? I mean, we've already got the approval for the pipes, but we also have this proposal.
I don't know if I think the pipes is the way to go. I think we got us, yeah.
Patrick,
Yes, Bob?
would it be possible for those parties who were affected to meet within the next 4 weeks and discuss the engineering studies, and then make a decision after that?
And bring it to.
So,
that
So
they-
let me kind of summarize here for a minute. So we approved the amount of money for putting in the drain boxes and piping and the original plan. My guess is the grading that your proposal shows would be considerably less than that. So we had the approval to do the drainage project. I think to your point, and to several of your point, you want to look at the proposal to see if it would be adequate for just the regrading. So we'll postpone which one that we're going to actually do until you get a chance to see that. And then once you guys have put in your opinions, we'll make a decision at the next board meeting as to which way we're going to go, and we'll proceed from there.
Here, here.
So when's that next board meeting, Patrick, so they know how long? When's the next board meeting?
Is there any comparative on the cost of doing it the way that we're talking about, just regrading things and going in and doing it where we're getting the water and piping it out, and you have a comparison on that, and the cost wise.
Tens of thousands
Have
of
you looked into that
dollars.
engineering wise?
Drastic.
Kim's, Patrick was good.
So we've had quotes to repipe it and do
But
everything.
not after an engineering study. Well, or maybe you did.
So I imagine it'd be tens of thousands of dollars difference in digging all the piping up, reshooting boxes, running it all down, making sure everything is by code on your slope and everything. Regrading it would be a totally, I mean, it'd be a way better effort than digging it all up. We've spoken to the guy who built the whole runway with vinyl 30 years ago, whatever it's been. So his proposal is a whole lot cheaper and affordable within the budget than actually digging everything up and starting over.
All right, so I'll send it out, and at our next board meeting, we meet quarterly, so we'll make a decision as to which way we go based on the feedback that we get after you see that. All right, we need to move along to the entrance gates. So we've had some questions, suggestions, whatever, saying that we need to put in the automated gates at the 3 entrances. Corey, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, so, you know, you've all seen a lot more activity with cars and whatnot in here, and I think it's time to dig this back up again and see what we can do with the gates. Since we did it the first time, technology has changed considerably. As far as, you know, opening and closing the gates, you can do it with iPhones, fobs. You can put a keypad, it's all wireless. The one company that I was looking at is called Ghost Systems out of California. They're lifetime guaranteed. And case, I'm sorry. Well,
in our case, we only got about 10 years.
Yeah. And Casey has sent me a company too, so we're looking at another one. And what I think we'd like to do, and maybe, you know, get some feedback quickly on this, is maybe if we can get some controls in here, maybe test it on phase 1 and get that working and see how that works, and then go from there to phase 2. And then also what we're going to do is put a gate up on the service entrance.
Well, the service entrance, I have a suggestion for the gate. Versus having an automatic gate of some sort, you can have a swing gate or a sliding gate that you have key keepers. 3 or 4 people that have keys, and it's used for one purpose and one purpose only, deliveries.
Well, I mean, that's an idea, but I mean, you notice we have UPS, FedEx, everybody's in here every day. So we've got to try and figure out what to do with all them too.
They usually come into the main entrance.
I agree.
99.9.
Yep.
How do we get them to?
I agree. And you know, we've looked at some in neighborhoods around here, and there's some that will open the gates during the day and then close them like, I don't know, 4 or whatever, but dark. Yeah, dark, whatever. But I mean, that's an option, but you know, we got to look.
It's cheaper to do something like that versus having an automated gate situation with cards and the rest of it.
Right.
And that way, because the guy coming in has to still come in, and does he have a card?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Those are things we got to look at.
Let me just
So-
interject one thing.
What's that?
Go ahead, Derek.
The deal fell apart last time.
Yep.
It was the guy that came and presented to all of us. He did not even know that by code you have to have a personnel gate up here whenever you have an electronic card gate. So
Yeah, that's what he said, but I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's 100% true, but we're looking at it because we've heard different things. Just saying. But, I mean, right now, the thing we want to do is stop the traffic. I mean, it's, you know, the pedestrian gates and whatnot, I guess we can do that at a later date, but I think we need to try it out. And the last time we had them out here, they were talking a lot of money. You know, $60,000 or $70,000 to do this. And right now, the equipment that we're looking at is 15, maybe less. So,
for all 3?
for all 3.
just for the gate automation equipment though.
That's the gate automation and, keypads and whatnot. Go ahead, Kevin,
Couple questions on that. With the gates, is the funding of the gates coming out of the current budget? Or is it going to be added on and the homeowners association dues going up again? On the flip side, if it's coming out of the current budget, fine. I've been here probably longer than anybody sitting here except for Jim Week.
right?
Before most of the people got here.
Right.
I've paid for buttons and gadgets and I've got 2 of them in my cabinet.
I bet you do, yeah.
I'm not paying $80 for a button that don't work, and I've done it twice now. The maintenance road, before you do the maintenance road, this is stuff that's come up in the past. Get with the county. The reason the gate wasn't put at the maintenance road, that was per Lexington County Emergency Management.
Yep.
It had to be left open.
Right.
So before you look at the gate on the maintenance road, get with Lexington County. That's why nothing has been put on the maintenance road.
Okay,
Because
good
they
point.
They have to have access to that. They're not gonna hit a button, they're not gonna key, they have to have access to that maintenance road.
Okay.
Is there, is the purpose of putting in the gates to not allow car traffic or because we don't have a fence around the entire neighborhood where somebody can't.
The main concern that was expressed was that we're getting a lot more neighbors because of all the developments around us. And so we're getting a lot more car traffic through the neighborhood that are not residents.
Well, it's not only that, there's been some motorcycles in here, there's been four-wheelers in here, there's golf carts, yeah.
Solicitors in here.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
It is advertised as a gated community.
right.
So it's not the foot traffic that we're concerned about in terms of somebody coming in, walking through an open area, it's the cars. is what
Right,
you're saying.
right, yep.
Yeah, if you get, the porch pirates or anybody who's gonna be coming in to, steal a car or something like that, they're gonna wanna drive through the gates. They're not gonna walk in, you might get a random odd chance of that happening, but it's pretty small, so.
Is it worth getting a show of hands to see who in general would support gating the community? Or is that already known that there is?
No.
No, that's a good.
That was gonna be like the last
Yeah.
part of this. We just wanna make sure everybody has a chance to express their
Yep.
opinions and questions and such before we move forward.
It all boils down to cost.
Yeah, that's a big
Whether it be
factor.
fence, whether it be drainage, whether it be gates. And when we do it, it has to apply to everybody. You can't be, well, my friend lives down here on the road, we're gonna let him in. You can't do that.
Yeah.
It has to be the same for everyone.
Right?
I know in the last year, y'all posted the fence and all that, there's no trespassing private. I think the entrances need to be more pronounced, is visible. I confronted a gentleman and his son and the four-wheelers on the taxiway about 2 weeks ago. I said, did you not see the signs out there? This is private. I didn't see anything. Well, you have to go look, but it's not real prominent.
Well, they'll tell you that too. They're gonna tell you that. Yeah, I would say that too. Yeah, I didn't see it.
You can put a 4x5 sign out there and I didn't see that.
I'll tell you what, you got a closed gate, they'll see the sign. Right?
Well, you can hire us, stand out there, they cage.
No, because we're looking at two companies now, so I don't know yet.
You gotta
I
take.
want to keep it around 15,000 and that way we don't have to do like Kevin said.
If you shoot somebody, you don't have to do it.
So, first of all, I want to just get a feedback of how many people think this is a good idea to put the gates in and have them automated in all 3 entrances.
Not until we know more.
Well, understood. I'm just saying, do you think it's a good idea in general? So we've got a 2/3, and who absolutely does not want the gates automated, closed?
And Kevin, to your question, I want to do this so I don't have to go and say, hey, I need more money from you people because we want to do this. That's my goal.
We need numbers and we need to know.
And we got two companies now.
So yes, he's still working on getting quotes.
Yep.
Getting details, so,
Quotes. You need the operational details.
yes, details.
How we're going to implement this, have a discussion with people, how we're going to implement it to make sure that all the bases are covered for emergency vehicles,
Yep.
for friends and neighbors, for
And this is the start of the conversation,
for
basically.
contractors, for you name it, it all has to be covered before you
And that's what he's going through with the different companies.
Meantime, you get a ring doorbell for each of the locations so you can see who comes in and out.
I'm sure that'll work wonderfully.
Yes, Don?
What happened to the two railroad gates that we had in phase 2?
Somebody drove through them.
All they drove through them as the first time we went down.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Let's go tractor shoot.
They're in the maintenance
That would be
shed.
a good one for the third gate.
That would be good for the,
That's easy.
If it's operational. I thought somebody had a hand up over here for a comment. Yes, John?
Figure out can't fence that, or excuse me, can't gate that. Gating the other two entrances is
Kind of a moot point? Exactly, yeah.
I think you can generally gate, so usually they'll let you put chain across because the fire department will cut chain to get in.
The gates will open with siren.
Yeah, they have the yellow.
Yeah.
This is not, this is not,
No.
I mean, there's hundreds of gated communities.
2024.
County.
Yeah.
They figured this out 30 years ago, that the gate will open with a yelp on siren. This is
Yeah.
not.
So we don't have to put a clapper on it?
No. Trust me, the fire department will get through it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things it does nowadays. It's,
So we're working with companies to get quotes, to work out all these details, whether it's fobs or smartphone apps or push buttons or
all of it.
Yelps or all of the above. It'll probably be some combination of all of the above, just depending on, of course, costs and what everybody wants. So just wanted to get a general idea of what people wanted, whether this was a good idea to proceed or whether we should just drop it. So it looks like the majority want us to proceed. We get more information.
I have a question. Which is more important to you, draining the runway or the gates?
Draining the runway.
Then I think that's what we ought to do this year.
big time thing. If that
Drain the damn runway.
Okay.
If it goes kaput, the whole
You don't need
subdivision
gates.
goes kaput.
All right. So we'll get more details and let them know then.
right, yep.
All right.
Moving on.
Moving on. So, election results.
All right, the numbers are in.
I made
And we don't
that
even know, so.
All right, so as long as I've been doing this, this is the first time that we've had 58 ballots that were actually valid. People are finally figuring out how to actually fill out a ballot. Congratulations. We usually have about 10 invalid ballots because somebody just checked everybody's name or something. Anyway, we had 58 ballots, they were all valid, there was 244 and a half votes. I'll just go for the top three for the open members. Althouse had 79, Bickle had 63, and Simpson at 56. So those are your three new board members. For the record, Clark had 10, and I don't want to mess this up.
Jerry.
Schultz had 32. Hoffman had a write-in, 1.5.
All right, Patrick.
And you wrote yourself in, I'm not sure.
No.
And believe,
Did I have any?
yes, you had 3. It would be you and your two best friends.
Did you vote for
I
yourself?
was retiring. I couldn't.
You voted for yourself.
So, congratulations to Althouse, Bickle, and Simpson.
There we go, Roger.
All right, and if anybody's wondering how we had 58 ballots and 250 votes or whatever it was, a lot of people have multiple properties, so they get, their vote counts more than one, and plus they're voting for 3 different people, so that's why those totals don't match up.
Thanks
Or
for doing that,
that's
Ray.
how they match up, but thank you.
Thank you, Ray, for doing that.
That is the end of the agenda for the general business meeting. So unless anybody has any questions, comments, or complaints, nope, good. May I get a motion to adjourn?
Absolutely.
All in favor? So we do have food over here, so everybody please stick around. And before we eat, we're going to have Roger bless the food for us, please.
Let's pray. God, thank you for the opportunity to gather together. We thank you for your many blessings, those seen and unseen. We're thankful for our friends, for our family, and despite difference of opinions, the common purpose we have here within our community. We lift up especially those who are sick and pray your healing hands would be at work. We do ask you to bless this food, that it may nourish our bodies to thy service. Amen.
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 Thank you.
Take notes there.
Houston and John, I'm sorry